I hear, women need to do this, that, and the third. Men set the tone, always finding new ways to create their desire for newness and fun and entertainment. Girls just want to have fun. So with that being said, when that energy is not bridled, when it's not given boundaries and barriers to make it more streamlined, so it's not chaotic, it can turn into them being disoriented mentally. They have so much ability to create, a lot of responsibility comes with that. And sometimes just the basic things can go unchecked because they're literally creating worlds at whim. All the things we want to complain about with women, they not doing what they need to do. If you doing what you got to do as a man, treating your body right, eating well, being a man of your word, spending time with God to maintain your peace, going to the therapy sessions, taking care of your family, setting the tone is in your decision making as well. End up bad-mouthing women and not realizing, I chose this. But if you choose a woman who has done enough work in her healing journey to be capable of making shifts, of recognizing where she needs work, whatever you put into motion, her energy will start to bleed into that direction and she will follow suit. There have been so many different things that my wife has been able to level up in. She was able to just watch how I move and run with it to the degree I ain't have to tell her, hey, you need to do this. The feminine energy, when it feels safe, confident in the tone that the man is setting because he's honoring himself so well, it's a natural flow over to the direction that he's walking in.
I 100% agree with dude. But here's the thing. This is back to that point I was just making about you. I see the face, Chance, so I'm gonna come to you first. I 100% agree with him because So because when I talk about relationships and I'm operating from this mindset that if you're who you're supposed to be, the object of losing you will make people like fall in line and not operate in a negative or a counterproductive space. And by doing so, you set the parameters from which your life lives, or you model the way you'd like to see your life or shape, and naturally the women will fall into that. So that's the main reason why I always focus on men, because I believe women will be fixed in proximity. So I think he's saying the same thing. But Shan, which part of this do you disagree with on the video?
Pretty much all of it.
Itemize it, please.
Listen, in professional sports, the coach is fired if the team ain't winning. But sometimes the players fucking suck and you got to trade them out. If we're going to say that, well, it's the man, he sets the tone, and the man, he takes responsibility, and he's supposed to have this identity, he's supposed to do all of this, then that way, what we're doing is we are removing accountability and culpability for anything going wrong in a relationship, because he was supposed to be able to identify it. He was supposed to be able to pick the right woman. He was supposed to be able to take the high road. He ain't supposed to have no feelings. He's supposed to just deal with it. And I'm sick of that, because that's what men have been doing. Taking, you the man. So you're supposed to, when I go off, you're supposed to just be calm. And he just calms me down, even though I'm disrespecting him. So you got an unruly loudmouth motherfucker that's going off, and I'm supposed to coach that team into greatness. No, sometimes, and rightfully so today, bad players need to be traded out. It ain't got nothing to do with the coach. The coach has been, sometimes some people are uncoachable. So to say that men blame women too much, how about maybe men are just blaming where the problem is? It's just that simple. And what men have been doing is taking all the blame and all the arrows on his back to cover for somebody who shouldn't be covered. That's just, I get it, man. You the man. You the man. You men are supposed to just be the men, and that's just what you do. A real man. I've heard it all, bro, and I've seen it all, and I've watched men head straight to an early grave because he just wouldn't say nothing. Hey, man, just it's just pick and choose your battles. It ain't even worth it. Just watch it. Let her just turn into Charlie Brown's teacher. Don't even listen to all that shit. And I'm like, no. How about you tell her what the fuck she did? Nah, it ain't worth it. Just, I'm man. So it's my fault in one way or the other. No, I don't subscribe to that, man.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily believe that men blame women too much. I believe that women blame men when men are wrong. And I would like men to blame women when women are wrong.
Okay. I appreciate the dialogue. So categorically, let me see. The first thing was, I had a question for you. Quick question. Do you believe men are leaders?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe leaders hold the ultimate share of accountability?
No.
Can you explain that?
Well, there's a thing called consent of the governed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, me being a leader, I have employees that work for me. I've been in leadership positions all pretty much all my adult life, ran organizations, built churches. I know what leadership is.
Mm-hmm.
I just fall into it. Ask JR, even when we were in Atlanta, I see a problem, I'm gonna fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, just because I'm in charge doesn't necessarily mean that, one, I'm the only person infallible.
Mm-hmm.
It's your responsibility. The CEO, I may take the responsibility, but it's not necessarily my fault.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be my responsibility to turn this company over and make sure my shareholders is doing well and make sure that we're making money year over year. But it's also my responsibility to get rid of bad employees that's not doing the company right. And that's part of the leadership as well. Now, there's a growing argument. You shouldn't fire anybody. Just move them into a position that's better suited for them. Just lower their hours. You don't have to fire them. Just drop them down to 5 hours a week. Make them want to quit on their own. Or why don't we just shift them out with somebody who's better suited for that position? Now, if I continue, if my decisions that I'm moving people around still turns out to be, a failing company, then okay, then at that point, that's the case. But understand something: when things go wrong, you fire who needs to be fired. You get rid of who you need as a CEO, as the person in charge that has to speak to the shareholders and the board of directors. I still fired that entire department because that entire department screwed up. As Steve Jobs called it, the PDR, the person directly responsible. When Apple Maps went bad, I think on iOS 8 or something like that, back in the iPhone 6, and the maps were sending people all over the place, they fired the entire map department. They didn't get rid of Tim Cook. They didn't get, they didn't get rid of the CEO. The CEO had to make a decision to get rid of the problem. So no, it's not always my fault. I may be responsible, but it's not necessarily my fault.
Okay, so the vetting phase is the portion where you do the most hiring and firing. That's the initial process of the relationship. If somebody makes it past that initial interview or that initial courting stage, then you should have identified, not you specifically, but you as in the person that's a leader should have identified character traits or abilities you believe you can mold and put into whatever direction within that company that's necessary. Then there's a performance plan before you terminate that person. There's several steps. It's an easy clockwork sliding scale. So to build a successful team, you do have to get people out of there, right? But that we should be able to, which goes back to what Nelson was saying earlier, in a position of leadership, we should be able to identify these things as quickly as possible. I forget the term you used when you were talking about getting, what was it, meat or something? Money, energy, something.
Money, energy, attention, and time. But I agree with that. Yes, we should be able to, as a leader, as a boss, as a person in charge, as the commander, you should be able to identify these things as quickly as possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean immediately, and it certainly doesn't necessarily mean at the hiring phase, because people are actors. I know people that are Oscar award-winning actors and will present themselves as one thing until they get comfortable in that position. How many people start a job and is gung-ho and is super on time and gets all the reports done all just to get past the probation period, and then suddenly they're always late. They take fucking hour and a half lunches when it's only supposed to be 45 minutes. They reports is half-ass done. And it's like, well, what happened to the person that I hired? What happened to the person that I brought on to this team? Where's that energy at? Well, they didn't got comfortable. That paycheck started getting good. What do you do? Well,
no, I was going to ask in a relationship or dealing with women, how often do you think that that's the case?
Oftentimes, brother.
Like 50%, 60%,
Oftentimes.
80%, 90%.
I would say it's on par with the divorce rate, 60%. Because people will present themselves, and we call it the representatives, a woman and men. But in this case, this King Talk, women will present themselves. They will show you their best representative in the dating phase. She'll suck you, she'll fuck you, she'll cook for you, she'll do all these things until she don't have to. Then all of a sudden, well, you picked her. Yeah, I know, but goddamn, that's not who I married. I married somebody else.
You went down a wormhole with this. Women don't want to be led today. You use the term leadership. That's an anomaly with most women today. They do not want to be led. They give you a list of requirements that they want you to do. They want you to tuck your tail and handle them with kid gloves. You have to have the right FICO score, the right amount of money, the right amount of what they feel is security. You do not dictate what most women got rights now to tell you that you ain't. And then you have to stand up there and accept it. And if you stand up and fight for yourself, you have other men that are complicit that tell you, yo, chill out.
Yeah, they'll tell you blaming women too much.
You got to be nice. You got to give them hot chocolate and marshmallows. I'll run with that all month. You're talking about leadership. Most women do not want to be led. It's an anomaly when you find something. Find a good woman that is open to be like, you know what? I'm going to trust you. I'm going to take that leap of faith. I'm going to do it biblically with you because you may not have everything, but there's so much requirements on other women that make those women hard to find. They're like unicorns. It ain't easy out here. The pickings is slim. So when you ask, leadership, and then you start going down this wormhole with allegories, we not reading Old Man in the Sea. This thing's supposed to be simple. Like you playing some Marvin Gaye and some old vinyl. You can't even talk to a woman. Listen, I don't want you to be out of order. I just want to love you. Stop putting so much requirements on me. You think me saying leading you? I'm putting my life on the line. That's a social contract for every man on this panel. For women that like us and don't like us. Or we will be looked at as cowards. Come on. Most women, let's keep it frank. Most women do not know what that word is, and they look at it as a dirty word like F-U-C-K.
Yeah, I categorically
easy out here.
Yeah, I disagree. From what I have seen, experienced, and observed from most of the women, they actually do want to be led. But
Marcus, you gave an anomaly the other day with clout of how your woman treats you, and we said line.
I'm not talking about my woman.
We said line up 10 men that would do what your woman did for you. And you know what you said? I agree with you. Ain't too many do for me like my wife would do for me.
You said line up 10 men to do what my wife
line up. You was boasting with clout of how your woman
boasting?
Went out her way when she was dealing with your birthday or whatever she was celebrating. She was celebrating you. And I said line up 10 men that get that same type of treatment. Y'all couldn't, but y'all stood strong that y'all got different type of women. I said, so y'all got anomalies. I remember saying that to you in clout.
So this goes back to the initial premise of what we think that acceptable to get past the probationary period of dating is. As men, you're ultimately in charge of your entire life. You, as to the most part, especially when it comes to relationships and the things you can directly interact with and control. And in doing so, you have the ability to remove or accept, to input or exput, to push away or to pull towards. If you would like to be treated a specific way, then you should only allow those people past that barrier. And if you can't find those type of people, then you should be single until you do. But there's a thing about law of attraction, right? If you allow the things that occurred previously to taint the overall general view, you will only start to view everyone from that lens. And then it will be extremely hard to find the people that would pass by the gate because they'll be off put by the energy that's being put out. I know a lot of people don't believe in energy and and things that aren't tangible, that you can't measure without specialized tools, but they exist, bro.
I believe in energy. What I just gave you was passion regarding the thing that you talked about with leadership. That's different than how I interact with females that I'm interested in. You have to be able to adapt in a given situation. There's a lot of women that check for me, and I'm not boasting like that, that understands that, oh, he got a subtle side. He knows how to treat a woman. But what I will not tolerate is somebody just trying to sell likes and get more clients, pandering for women. That's exactly what he was doing. He's pandering for women that, you know, they can't be checked. The majority of women that you see out here, boy, your family, it's not the same. And
so I think we may have watched two different videos, because I clearly heard him say that the men are allowing things to skate that they should have checked. He wasn't talking about not checking something. He was talking about checking it extremely early. He was saying that we give people passes and then we allow them to move forward without addressing those things that become issues that later on blow up. He said everything but allow her to skate.
no.
Please replay the video.
He said he put the blame, he put the onus on us.
It is on us to not allow them to skate. Replay the video, please, JR. And you pause. Please pause it where I'm about to explain, because I clearly heard him say address that stuff early. Don't allow it to go nowhere.